Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, Godzilla Minus One, Mike's Instant Movie Review. If you happen to be watching this review and you've never seen me before, my name is Mike Messier. I do things, and one of the things I do is I review films. I go see them, and then I sit in my car. And I discuss them with you. So let's talk about it. Well, first of all, I have to give a shout out to subscriber, my good buddy there, Michael A.J. Norris. He was insistent that I watch this film, that I go see this film. I even said, Michael, or AJ, I don't really like Godzilla movies. I said to him through, the messenger, and he said, but you got to see this one, Mikey. So that and another gentleman, the dapper man, Kevin, here in Jacksonville, filmmaker himself, he made a nice post on Facebook declaring this film a great film, that you did not have to be, I believe he said, a Koji fan, which I believe is monster movies from Japan fan, to enjoy it. And if I really think about it, folks, I have seen, a good portion of these movies of the last 20 years or so, the King Kongs, the Godzillas, the stuff back in the 60s. I always had a soft spot for that Godzilla vs. King Kong movie from the 1950s or 1960s version, which I actually saw in a 3-movie DVD compilation in the Dollar Tree, believe it or not, which I might go back and get. I have a lot of movies on DVD that I haven't watched. So many things to watch, you know what I mean? It's just too much content for one lifetime, folks. But let's get back to this film. Well, first of all, I went tonight. It was a Tuesday night. I believe there's some type of discount at the AMC Theater. The theater had a lot more people than I expected. Also, I think it's been posted on social media that this Godzilla Minus One, it's in its last, I think at this point there's only 2 days left to see it on the big screen, because so many movies are coming in for Christmas. The Iron Claw, the Von Erichs wrestling movie, amongst others. So I really had to kick myself in the ass, because to be quite honest, even with all the resounding go see it's, from all these wonderful people, I still, kind of was a little hesitant, or just not that psyched up to see it. But boy, was I wrong, folks. This was a fun, not just a fun movie, but like a serious movie, which actually didn't humanize Godzilla in any way to me. I don't have any motivation. What is Godzilla? Well, I have some thoughts on that. It really humanized, as well. They're already human, of course, but the people that are fighting Godzilla, this movie did a great job of telling that story. The redemption, spoilers, of the kamikaze pilot, the love story. We kind of get a backdoor happy ending, if you've seen the film. You know what I mean? And just, I really never realized, and I'm sure that there's articles about this online. I'm sure that these thoughts precede this movie, although I've never, to my memory, I've never seen anyone talk about this, but I'm sure, because I'm not a Godzilla aficionado, I'm sure that these theories have abounded before me. But I guess I'm getting the point here that Godzilla is truly a metaphor or a metamorphosis of the A-bomb, of the atomic bomb, or the was it nuclear bomb that landed on Hiroshima and the other place. So, folks, it's interesting, because the redemption that this kamikaze pilot goes through, I believe his name is Sirishiwa, if I'm saying that correctly, which I'm probably not. My apologies, the character. But he basically feels like he let his compatriots down when he had a chance to attack Godzilla. And of course, what I think they're really trying to say, without saying it, is the Japanese men especially have guilt or remorse that they didn't win the fucking war. And so they don't come out and make a movie that says, damn, we wish we beat those fucking Americans. Instead, Godzilla is kind of this non-political opponent. He represents, to me, Godzilla represents so much now. And this film finally has given me some relevance to the Godzilla. I just used to think he was a big dumb lizard, but now it's like Godzilla represents death. He represents the nuclear attack. He represents even the government of Japan not valuing their own citizens. I mean, we get a big speech where the citizens that fight Godzilla are basically saying that their own government does not value human life, and that's why you have things like kamikaze pilots, and you have these other atrocities against the civilians. So, I mean, this film is pretty goddamn loaded. The theater that I was in tonight, there was some interesting shenanigans. There was a couple of gentlemen, people, I guess. They seemed like they were male voices talking during some of the critical cinematic points of this movie. Other people were not just hushing them, but scolding them with words. There seemed to be some assholes in the theater tonight. And look, I'm at the point where I'm not going to, physically attack anyone. I'm evolved beyond that. I mean, my disappointment with humanity always comes through, but I'm just retired from policing people. I mean, I used to be the guy that was the husher or the shut the fuck upper, or that used to be me, but I've just kind of resigned from that position. But I'm happy to see other people take the torch. And recently I've been hearing, went to see a horror movie last month. There was some, hushers in the audience to people, the finger Freddy fuck, whatever the fuck, Five Nights at Freddy's. And now this Godzilla thing where audience members are hushing each other, at least in my experience, 2 in the last month, which I think is a pretty good number. So there was some hushing going on. There was some, talk shaming going on in the theater tonight. I thought that was awesome. I loved it to hear audience members yelling at each other to shut the fuck up. I thought that was great. So good job, whoever the fuck you are, for doing such. But to me, the people that were kind of chit-chatting away, like anyone gives a fuck what they have to say, they're not getting the relevance and the storyline. And this movie is kind of going for some real emotional things here. The shame of being a kamikaze pilot who does not go kamikaze, who does not live up to his expectations. Not that I'm shaming them, but the self-imposed shame. Once again, the feeling that the government does not care about you, and that you're just a sacrifice, and that your life means nothing, that you're just to be sacrificed at the altar to war or to defending against Godzilla. The woman, I'm trying to remember her name, very, like this unfulfilled relationship. They have like this platonic live-in relationship, and they have this adopted daughter of sorts who's calling them mommy and daddy, but the man, Soshisawa from fucking the war, he can't get over his guilt, so he does not consummate with this beautiful young woman. He's got this built-in family. He's got this lovely woman that he's living with, but he can't kiss her. He can't make love to her because he has such guilt. So he has to fucking blow up Godzilla. And a nice little, semicircle here. The fucking kamikaze pilot gets an ejection button. And it's like a big fuck you to the whole male ego, you have to die for your country or die for the cause thing. It's like, why don't we use our brains for once and have an ejection button? And I think that this humanity that we're seeing here is basically taking a stand for the individual and also for just human rights to live and not be a sacrificial lamb for the ideologies of war and conflict. God, what a film. Oh, deserves a special cracking of my neck. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, much more than I thought I would. I thought it was just going to be another, special effects fuckfest. But once again, folks, when a film has these special effects at its disposal, but when you justify and you validate making this movie by actually having a storyline that has relevance and passion and humanity, for Christ's sakes, then you really have something here. When you just throw shit on the screen like we saw for the last 20 years, like, oh, look at all our goddamn CGI effects, look at the Incredible Hulk. I'm thinking to the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk, the Mark Ruffalo Incredible Hulk. These movies did not pivot us because they gave us no stories that we cared about. You think about things like the Transformer movies. I never got my dick hard about those movies. Other people did. I never saw the relevance in them. But I mean, all these special effects movies, these Avengers, Endgames, and all these things where you just pile on the effects, you pile on the superheroes, you pile on the conflicts, and it's all a steaming pile of dog shit because there's no fucking storyline. Well, not a storyline that you actually care about. There are storylines to these movies. They're just not very good most of the time, or often. This time, however, these fine folks got it right. And, I find myself really cheering for these characters and the fucking mechanic and all these fucking people in this goddamn movie. And then, like I said, Hollywood ending in Japan. The love interest was not dead. She just had a broken arm and maybe a missing eye. So she's in the hospital the whole time, possibly missing an eye. Maybe it's just a sore eye and a broken arm, but still, a fully functioning female. And boom, the suicide bomber there didn't have to commit suicide, didn't have to kill himself in killing Godzilla. And he gets to have his family. And before that, we saw the wonderful, and the darling, cute little pseudo-daughter, the adopted daughter. She's calling them mommy and daddy. She wants so much to have a family. It's just ripping at your goddamn heartstrings, okay? And then the tactical, the non, official government, like they're the private citizens who, because Japan's under such strict regiment, from the U.S. and the Soviets, that they can't form a fucking... They're saying that our government can't fight Godzilla because of all these restrictions based on the U.S. and the Soviets. So we have to... the civilians have to fight Godzilla. So, I mean, there's so many goddamn loaded references here. It's basically saying we can't count on our fucking government. The government doesn't honor us or honor our lives. So we have to do this thing for ourselves, okay? So, what a loaded film, okay? I was impressed. I hope you saw it. If you didn't see it, what can I tell you? I mean, I guess you have a day and a half by the time you see this review to run out to your local theater and see it. Like I said, I have to give, once again, I already thanked them, but I'll be a nice guy and say the A.J. Norris, Michael A.J. Norris, always has a lot of good things for me to talk about. If you have any suggestions of timely topics, if it is a pro wrestling thing, you can go over to One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel. That's another one of my wonderful channels. If you say, well, gee whiz, Mike, what makes you an expert on all these things? You can go to One Man and a Camera Films, and see my films. If you want to see my visual art, you can go to One Artist, Mike Messier. You can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that. MikeMessier.com. You can buy all my books in the corner. You can do all these wonderful things. But yeah, I enjoyed the film. Michael A.J. Norris, the Dapper Man, coming through with these wonderful suggestions. And see, folks, I actually listen to people. When people insist and they say, well, gee whiz, Mike, you really got to see this goddamn movie, I don't hesitate. I don't say, oh, yeah, I'll see it, and then don't see it. I mean, I remember telling people, oh, you got to go see Top Gun Maverick. Oh, I don't like Tom Cruise. Well, go see the goddamn movie anyway. And people don't listen to me, and they don't get to see a wonderful movie. But with this, I had my hesitance. I had my... second thoughts, or I had my, do I really want to see a fucking Godzilla movie? But I listened to my peers, I listened to my friends, and I said, okay, I'll go see it. And I'm happy that I did. So see my happiness? Okay, folks, so at the end of the film, one person was clapping. There was probably, I'd say 40 people in the audience, and one person's clapping. And I kind of did like a little stand and clap. Like, I really wanted to get the fuck out of the theater. I wanted to get something to eat. I just had a nice little pseudo meal at Sonic. I had a chili cheese dog, and I had a double cheeseburger of some kind, fairly good. I skipped the fries, I skipped the tater tots, I just went for the meat and the carbs, okay? I do have an apple somewhere, maybe I'll eat that as dessert. But anyway, folks, I had a good time at the movies tonight. MikeMessier.com. If you have other suggestions, topics, I am watching a lot of streaming stuff. I'm watching this documentary, The Inventor, about the crazy woman Theanos or whatever the fuck. The Blood Lady, and so on and so forth. MikeMessier.com. Subscribe to all my videos, all my channels, buy all my books, do everything I